We're starting.
Good afternoon, class. I welcome each and every one of us most profoundly to this lecture called Business Law, Registration of Business and Compliance Requirements. We are dealing on business law today. As we already know, we have different kinds of law. We have business law, we have commercial law, we have civil and all what have you. But today we are going to concentrate on business law, the law relating to business transaction. That is what we are going to do today. Registration of such businesses and also compliance requirements. One, the objectives. The objective of today's course is just to enable participants have a basic understanding of the nature of the legal system in Nigeria, to enable participants understand the legal regime and regulatory agencies regulating different kinds of businesses in Nigeria, for a participant to know the types of business, organizations, and steps in the formation and registration of businesses in Nigeria, because we have different kinds of businesses, and also make the participant understand the basic nature and elements in a commercial contract. Topics, we have several topics. We have the Nigerian legal system as a topic. We also have relevant government agencies regulating businesses in Nigeria. We have types of business organization, legal implication of the various types of business organizations. We have registration of business organization. We also have law of contract. These are topics enshrined in today's course, and we are going to take it one after the other. First of all, the Nigerian legal system. The meaning of law, because we have different kinds of law. There's no way you can talk about business law, commercial law, international law, without first of all knowing what the law is all about. Law is more or less like a principle, a body of rules that governs a particular transaction or govern a particular circumstance. If it is in terms of business, it becomes business law. If that principle governs in terms of international, it becomes international law. If it governs in terms of commercial, it becomes a commercial law. That's the reason why for us to move, for us to appreciate the business law, first of all, you advance your attention, what is law? And that is why I've told you that law is all about body of rules. It depends on the school of thought. It depends the way you are coming from. But in simple language and definition, the body of rules, body of principle that governs the existence or governs a particular circumstance, just like in the business law, the law that relates to business transaction in Nigeria. Now, this law we are talking about, where do we derive these laws? That is what we call sources of Nigerian law. The law in question we are talking about, where do we derive those laws? We call it sources of Nigerian law. It can deal with what most of the laws we are derived from common law. We have what they call doctrines of equity. We have Nigerian legislation, customary law, judicial precedent, case law, international law. Now, what is a common law? A common law has to do with a body of rules evolved over time in England, and it becomes law. As a matter of fact, this law in question happens to be very, very rigid, very, very harsh, and individual. And because of the rigidity and harshness of the common law, that informed the introduction of doctrines of equity. And doctrines of equity came in with a view to mitigate the harshness, the
And
rigidity
most of them watch this thing,
of the common law. Then Nigerian legislation. As we already know, at times the National Assembly might make a law, the State House of Assembly will make a law, the local government council bylaw. These forms the part of Nigerian law. As the sources, where do we derive them? We derive them from the National Assembly, and you know the law made by National Assembly, we call it, the law made by National Assembly, we call it an act. The one made by the state, we call it law. The one made by the local council, we call it bylaws. Do you understand? These come together, forms the sources of Nigerian law. Then we also have judicial president. Judicial president means, for instance, if a matter is first of all treated in the magistrate court, from magistrate court, either of the party being dissatisfied will now go to high court, from high court to court of appeal, from court of appeal to Supreme Court. We call it judicial president. Do you understand? Those form part of Nigeria law, and also case law, international law. We have hierarchies of law of Nigerian courts. We have Supreme Court as the highest court in land. Any decision given by Supreme Court becomes final. We also have Court of Appeal. Court of Appeal follows Supreme Court. We also have Federal High Court, State High Courts. We have National Industrial Courts. We have Sharia Courts, we have Customary Courts, we have Magistrate Courts, we have Area Courts. These are what we call hierarchy of Nigerian courts. But as a matter of fact, Supreme Court is the highest court of the land. In other words, any decision reached by Supreme Court becomes final. Do you understand? It also forms what they call judicial presidents. Then we also have what they call civil law and criminal. Civil law means the law relates to obligations between parties, between two contracting parties. When two parties enter into an agreement to do this, to do that, and at the end of the day, either of the party now fail to honor his own obligation, fail to perform his or her own obligation, we call it breach of civil law. Do you understand? That one is civil, and it is different from criminal, because criminal has a stiff penalty. When we say crime, crime means an offense against the state. In other words, if you commit that crime, just like bribery, just like fraudulent conversion, misrepresentation, do you understand, murder, assault, these are within the purview of criminal. So in other words, if you commit any of these offenses, it is the state that will punish you. And that's the reason why you see police, Commissioner of Police versus then ICPC versus Federal Republic of Nigeria versus, do you understand? And the EFCC, that the people that prosecute you, as against when parties on a level playing ground agree on terms and conditions that we are going to do this, we are going to execute this civil, and you perform your own, the other person failed to perform his own, it becomes civil wrong, and it becomes breach of that civil wrong. And once there is any breach, there must be a remedy. Do you understand? So the difference between crime and civil is very, very, the difference is very, very wide. Wide in the sense that crime is an offense against the state. And before you say Mr. A has committed an offense, that offense must have been specifically stated. The punishment must also be specifically stated. You cannot say that Mr. A has committed an offense, whereas such offense is not in existence. The offense in question must be in existence, and the penalty must also be incorporated in a logbook. So when there is short of that, you cannot say that somebody commits an offense. Are we following? Now, I've already told you that criminal laws are usually being prosecuted by the EFCC, police, and what have you. Now, relevant regulatory agencies regulating business transactions in Nigeria, because business transactions need to be regulated, because if it is not regulated, at the end of the day, the real essence of it will be defeated. Now we start with Corporate Affairs Commission, that's CAC, meaning Corporate Affairs Commission. What is this Corporate Affairs Commission all about? Corporate Affairs Commission is just a commission, you understand, saddled with responsibilities of registration of a company. Which company are we talking about? The company that will be the platform upon which you and I will do business. In other words, such company must be registered by Corporate Affairs Commission. In effect, where there's no registration, there is no business. Because if you go to a Ministry of Works for them to make an application for a job, definitely you have to apply via the incorporated documents. Do you understand? That's the reason why CAC now coming. You understand? By virtue of CAMA, Company and Allied Matters Act, was saddled with responsibility by virtue of Section 7.1 of CAMA for the registration and regulation. They can also supervise company, and they can also conduct investigation into a company. When a company is incorporated and a company, instead of doing the real essence of its incorporation, they deviate. In such situations, CAC can come in with a view to investigating the company to ensuring that the company complies. That is requirement compliance. Are we following? Now, apart from CAC, another one is Federal Inland Revenue. Federal Inland Revenue is just like a body too, saddled with responsibility of collection of all these corporate taxes. Because once you register a company, that company, by virtue of such registration, is supposed to be paying tax. But in every general rule, there must be an exception. The exception is that if a company is newly registered within the interval of 6 months, you can apply to FIRS with a view to issuance of certificates on the ground that the company is a newly registered company within the space of 6 months. You can only pay what they call POL, pre-operational leave. They will just oblige you. But if it stays for like a year or thereabout, definitely you must do what? You must pay. Do you understand? You must pay for tax clearance. But the only advantage you can have is when it is registered within an interval of 6 months, then you try as much as possible to get your certificates. The money you will pay is just a peanut compared to what you would have paid had it been that it stays for like a year or more. Now, we also have Central Bank of Nigeria, that is the CBN. We also have Central Bank of Nigeria. We also have SON. What is SON? Yes. Standard organization is just like a body too. Saddled with responsibility is so statutory body that is vested with the responsibility of standardizing and Sorry, class. It's as a result of technical errors. Sorry about that. I don't know where we stopped before, but meanwhile, let me revise back to federal inland revenue, which I've already made mention that is charged with the responsibility of collection of an administration of federal and corporate taxes. All existing manufacturers, distributors, importers, suppliers of goods, services are to register VAT. What is VAT? VAT is value added tax. They pay VAT returns on every month. There are some certain things some people normally do. What they do is at times they will say nil. Nil means that they did not do any business. And you keep filing every year, keep filing every month. That's for VAT. Then at the end of the day, if peradventure they discover you've been doing businesses and you've been filing nil, that they will use what you filed, you understand, against you. But some people don't know about that one. But what I'm trying to say in effect is that upon registration of their company, do well to comply with the requirements in terms of payment of tax, in terms of VAT return. It will also do you good to do that. All you need to do to get in touch with a consultant, a tax consultant, he will now guide you on how to get it well packaged. Then I've made mention of a SON, which is more or less like a body saddled with responsibility of standardization of Nigerian goods, to ensure that it complies with the required standard. As against when we don't have such body, in such situation, everybody will just produce substandard materials and keep selling. You understand? They also compile an inventory of products requiring standardizations. They also register and regulate standard marks and specifications. They also advise states and federal departments of government on specific problems relating to standards. So everything concerning some borders on standard, they are there to ensure that that standard is met, as against when they are not there. In such situation, there will be a lot of proliferation of substandard goods in Nigeria. Then we also made mention of registration with NAFDAC as also a relevant agency that requires that everybody must comply with it. What is NAFDAC? We already know that before now, when there's nothing like NAFDAC, somebody can produce like pure water and all this bottled water. Somebody can just, from the backyard, produce water irrespective of the kind of water in question. They will just package it, sell it, and keep selling to the people, to the market. And by so doing, such is detrimental to someone's health. That's the reason why NAFDAC came on board with a view to checkmating on all those ones. Apart from, they will have like something like food and also drugs. These are the two categories that requires registration. Food in the sense that if you have a food that you want to dispose to sell, you have, first of all, after you must have incorporated a company, then you now, by way of an application to the appropriate body, they will ask you to bring the dossier of for them to test it. And after they must have tested and after they must have ensured that you comply with the laid down principles and requirements, they will now certify it okay and also get it registered. The truth is that if you try as much as possible you could to dodge registration with NAFDAC and now keep producing something without NAFDAC number, upon being apprehended, that is a criminal offense. And the essence of this lecture is for us to educate you, for us to acquaint you with the need for such a registration, because you might try to cut corner and eventually you are caught. While cutting corner, definitely you will be penalized for that. And it's also a criminal offense. Definitely they have the power to confiscate. They have the power to sell that particular place upon which you do all those criminal activities. All you need to do is just make an application. You understand? Make an application. They will give you a form. You fill it. After filling the form, if it is food, if it is drug, then there are required procedure which must be followed. All you need to do to follow the procedure stricto sensu, and once such is followed, then you get your registration, you get your certificate. Then you keep on doing your business as against doing it in a very shady way. Types of businesses, organization in Nigeria, the legal implication of the various types. Just like what I said earlier before, business is more or less a legitimate venture. When you venture into a legitimate transaction with a view to making profit, because anybody that enters into business has at the back of his mind that you are going to make profit, even though you may as well make loss, because it's two ways. But as a business-minded person, your mind will be targeting on how to do invest and also have return on such investment. That is profit. Do you understand? Now, we have sole proprietorship. We also have partnership. We have company. Let's take it one after the other. Who is a sole proprietorship? A sole proprietorship is a person who decides on his own. It's just like a one-man sport. Decide on his own. Let me venture into a business. Then the person venture into such a business. Such person, the liability of such a person is unlimited. Unlimited in the sense that if peradventure the person decides to take a loan of, let's say, 500 million to do business, to do this, to do that, then at the end of the day, the business collapses. You understand? In paying off that particular loan, maybe what he has is like about what the cash he has about 300 million. The remaining 200 million, the bank in question is they are going to get it from him. How would they do that? They will do that by attaching his personal property. His own personal property, they will attach the personal property with a view to offsetting that particular loan because it's a one-man business. It's a one-man business. So that's the reason why they should have to go. And that's the reason why they say liability of such a person is unlimited. Unlimited means anywhere they see his personal property, they will gather it, confiscate it, sell it until. Do you understand? When we come to company, then you now see difference between sole proprietorship and a company. Now, sole proprietorship, assuming the person in question dies, that is the end of the business because it's a one-man business. Do you understand my point? Because it's a one-man business. And such a person, just like what I say, personal assets, like personal car or property, personal house of the owner, may be seized to offset the debts of the business. Do you understand? The business, even if registered with Corporate Affairs Commission, is not separable from such a person because the person is running a business they call, if you register, is the same person. So there's nothing like separation because it's a sole proprietorship. Now, having said so, let's go to what they call partnership and its legal implication. What do we mean by partnership? As the word suggests, when 2 or 3 persons partner in order to do what? To venture business. And that partnership must be defined. You understand? If it's a defined partnership, then the liability will be somewhat limited. But if it's unlimited partnership, in such situation, the liability of the partners may not be limited. In other words, if they are owing, you understand, their personal property will be attached with a view to offsetting that particular loan. Are we following? Yes. Now, general partners are at risk of having their personal belongings seized to offset the debts and liability of the partnership business, except expressly agreed Otherwise, profits have to be shared equally among the partners. The determination of who is a partner in a business is whether the person partakes in profit sharing. That is partnership for you. So what we are seeing in partnership is that when two or three gathered with a view to making, to venturing into a business, with a view to making profit, and it must be defined. If it is defined, it then means that their liability in terms of winding up or in terms of liquidation of the company will be defined. But if it is not defined, it then means that it's more or less like unlimited partnership. And if it's unlimited partnership and the company in question collapse and they are owing, let's say, 20 million, that 20 million must be contributed, must be shared amongst those partners. Do you understand? Now, having said this, let's come to what they call companies. Because at times people have been saying company, and its legal implication. First of all, we must know that once a company is incorporated with Corporate Affairs Commission, that company becomes a corporate soul. Corporate soul means it becomes a legal entity that can sue somebody and somebody can sue the company. That is the law in Solomon and Solomon. Once a company is incorporated, it becomes a separate body. And that's the reason why some smart person, if they want to do business with some individual, with other people, they will now hide under the cloak of the company and say that we are doing is the company that you are transacting with and not me as an individual. Do you understand? They have the reason behind that. Because if he transacts on a personal ground, then he will be held liable on a personal ground. But since a company has been incorporated, it will now shift the company in forefront, then the company will not enter into a legal relationship with another company. So it becomes company versus company. I don't know whether you're getting my point. And once such a company is incorporated, such a company can buy and own property. These are the features. These are the ingredients of company. Once a company is incorporated, it becomes a legal entity that can sue and be sued. The company can buy and own property. The company can enter into contracts with any other company. And the company can also enjoy what they call perpetual succession. Perpetual succession means it can live forever, as against sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship is one person, once the person dies off. But because company, in company we'll have shareholders, we'll have directors of the company. So if Director A dies and Director B, C are available, then they will continue with the business. And that's the reason why they say perpetual succession. Perpetual succession means that it lives forever, as against sole proprietorship that once the person dies, and that is the end of the whole thing. And they can as well apply loan. Company can apply for loan. This loan we are talking about now, once you register a company, you can use their company to apply loan to any of these financial institutions. Do you understand? All you need to do while registering the company, make sure you engage a lawyer who will help you so that in the memorandum and article of association, you will now make, they will ensure there's a clause there. We call it borrowing power. And that borrowing power empowers that company to borrow from any financial institution. And once there is no borrowing power in that particular MEMAT that you intend to register, do you understand? You might have it, you might experience difficulty in accessing them, because before they will do that, they will ask you, can we see evidence of incorporation? The reason why they are asking for that is to see, one, what do you do? That is the object clause of the company. Then whether the company in question has borrowing power. And if it has borrowing power and you meet other requirements, they will give you your money. I don't know whether we are following.
We are following.
Okay. So the question now is, why do we register businesses? It's a very simple question, and the answer is also very simple. You register business so that business name, so that you'll be able to transact. The reason is that, for instance, now all this tender you've been seeing, assuming your brother is a minister, that your brother who is the minister of works cannot give you a work, cannot give you contract, cannot give you job in your personal name. It must be what? Registered. That's the essence of business. And that's the essence of this registration under Companies and Allied Matters with Corporate Affairs Commission. Unregistered business with Corporate Affairs Commission is unknown in law, and therefore cannot transact some official businesses. If you don't register your company, you've not started. In other words, registration of a company is just like step one. Then you can now talk of step two. I don't know whether we're getting our points. Yeah. You also have small business startup procedure because you mustn't have all the money to start. All small businesses, all you need to find a suitable business name to support your business idea, identify suitable business location, register the business with Corporate Affairs Commission, then register with FRS, register your products with NAFDAC, register with SOM. Then you start up your business. It mustn't be big. Do you understand? It mustn't have big millions of naira to do this. Just a small amount of money, you get to reading it. Then you now take off. Procedure and documents to be submitted to Corporate Affairs Commission for registration of business name. You know, the first step is that if you want to register a name, first of all, deep down in your heart, you must have known the name you want to register. XYZ Company Nigeria Limited, blah, 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 Nigeria Limited. Then the first thing you should do is to, once you engage a lawyer, then you will now apply to the Corporate Affairs Commission. The Corporate Affairs Commission, they will conduct what they call search of name, search and reservation. If the name in question is reserved, is available, they will reserve it for you for 60 days. And if it's reserved for you for 60 days, the next thing you should do is to get the form, get the necessary documents. If it's just business name, get your 2 passport photographs, get your means of identification, either international passport, driver's license, valid means of identification. Do you understand? They will give you a form, you will fill the form, attach the necessary document, then you pay the requisite fee. And that is all. And the same thing applies to company limited by shares. A company limited by shares, it may be a private limited company, it may also be public limited. Private in the sense that you are just like something limited, from 2 directors to about 50 directors. PLC has to do with banks. Access Bank PLC, Zen Bank PLC. Do you understand? So these are the, but the first thing you should do is to put in for what they call the availability. If it is available, then they will keep on with the registration. Just like what I said earlier. The same thing applies, the same procedure in a business name is equally applicable in limited. They are the same. They are the same procedure. First of all, availability. If the name is reserved, because you might coin a name thinking that the name is available. When you put in availability, they will now tell you that that name is already in existence. So that should be the first one. Having settled that one, the next thing is for you to follow the procedure, the means of identification, and every other thing will now follow. Then you get it registered and do your business. Then now, we'll now enter into what they call law of contracts. Law of contracts. People have been talking about contract. What is contract? As a matter of fact, it's an enforceable legal obligations agreed upon. Enforceable legal obligation agreed upon by parties. And you have elements, features of a valid contract. We have what they call offer, we have acceptance, we have consideration, we have form, we have capacity, we have legality, and also intention to create legal obligation. So let's take it one after the other. I've already told you that contract is all about enforceable legal obligations agreed upon by parties. When 2 or 3 parties, see, just for instance, let me use the tenancy agreement. You want to rent a house from the landlord say, okay, this house goes for this, that. You will now reduce it into writing. Parties will now sign. That tenancy agreement has become a binding agreement between you, the tenant, and your landlord. Do you understand? All you need to do as a tenant is to perform your own obligation. One of your obligations should be payment of rent, as and when due. Do you understand? That is only your own obligation. And the obligation on the part of landlord is maybe if there is a major repair, to do the major repair. So peradventure, you fail to pay your rent as and when due. It then means that you have done what? That you have violated the agreement. You have violated one of the terms of the agreement. Now, on the issue of element of a valid contract, there should be an offer and acceptance. What is an offer? Offer has to do with a statement emanating from the person, the offerer, we call him the offerer. A statement, for instance, if you want to sell, they say, I want to sell my laptop, I'm offering my laptop to you. I am the offerer. You are the offerer. I'm offering to sell this at so amount of money to you. Then you will now, I will expect from you what they call acceptance. I'm accepting to buy your laptop at the same amount. Or I will buy it, but I will buy it at a different amount. That's what they call counter offer. But there should be offer and acceptance in totality. That is one. There's what they call consideration. Consideration means the money in question that is involved. I want to buy a certain amount of money. Parties must agree on that. Do you understand? The form, the capacity, the legality. You know, it's not everybody that has the capacity, the form to enter into a contract. A minor cannot enter into a contract. Do you understand me? A minor, a person who is a minor cannot enter into a contract. You must have reached a capacity age, a contractual age. Do you understand? And there should be an intention to create a legal relationship between parties. All these things must come together, agreed upon, before you say there is a valid contract. When either of them is missing, is lacking, there is no contract. So there must be a consensus, added a meeting of two minds before you say you have a valid contract. We also have what they call privity of contracts. What is a privity of contract? Privity of contract means a party to a contract, assuming the landlord and tenant agree on terms and conditions. A third party cannot enforce that agreement because that third party is not a party to that agreement. Party to an agreement means privity to an agreement. A privity of contract. Those parties, they have the right to enforce that particular agreement, and not somebody who is outside the agreement, who is not part and parcel of the agreement, who never signed the agreement. It is only the party that signed the agreement that can enforce it. I don't know whether you are following. We also have terms of a contract. We have what they call express terms. I also have what they call implied terms. And it is preferable to go for express term. Express term means when the terms and the conditions of the contract is expressly stated. That if you do this, this will happen. If you do not do this one will happen. As against implied, we are just implying that he should have known that because he did not do this one should have. Do you understand? We call it implied. No, you have to state it expressly stated. That we call express contract, something that can invalidate a contract. What are those features? Assuming you enter into a contract under duress, they will just corner you once and say you must enter into this contract, or else they will shoot you, or else something this will happen to you. Then because you don't want to be shot, you sign. That contract is null and void because it's tainted with duress. It was entered under duress. It wasn't voluntary. In another way, if you enter into a contract under influence, undue influence, maybe they will tell you, sign this one. Once you sign this one, they are going to do this one for you. Undue influence. Or a person who is influential will be telling you, do it, I will do this, I will do that. Based on that undue influence, you enter into a contract which ordinarily you wouldn't have entered. Such contracts can be vitiated. Now, misrepresentation. When facts are not clear, there are some element of misrepresentation. They misrepresent facts to you. Look at this, look at the true position of fact, whereas at the end of the day, you now discovered that what they presented to you as the true facts are not the true facts. Such agreements, such contracts can be vitiated on that ground. Then discharge of contract. Once the contract is performed, those terms and conditions are performed by both parties, the contract can be discharged. Frustration. We normally call that one a kind of what they call the act of God. You understand? What we call act of God, there's all those things can vitiate, can discharge a contract, whereby maybe we call it force majeure. You enter into agreement, you never thought of wind or this natural act of God, or rain or incidents, that kind of stuff. That is not within the imagination of a human being. If such happens, it frustrates the contract. You cannot hold Mr. A liable, you cannot hold Mr. B liable because the contract in question was frustrated by an act of God. Maybe rain or this and that. Something within the capacity of the person to control. We call it act of God. Fundamental breach. If there's a fundamental breach, that contract is discharged. Mutual agreement, parties can agree that having performed this, having done this, let us discharge the contract, and it will be discharged. As a matter of fact, once there is a breach of a contract, there should be a remedy. And that's the essence of that contract, terms and conditions. Anticipating that either of the party or each of the party must perform his or her own obligation. Do you understand? And if Mr. A performs his own obligation and Mr. B failed to perform, it becomes a breach on the part of Mr. B who has failed to perform his own obligation. Do you understand? And once there is a breach, there should be a damage. You understand? And it should be what they call compensation. You have to compensate the other person for having a breach. There's also what they call specific performance. Assuming the other party has performed and you have not performed, the issue of specific performance can come into play. The court can ask you to perform specifically, to be on the same level with the other party who has performed. That is what they call specific performance. Then rectification, as in kind of correction. If there's any mistake or you're about to make an amendment in that respect. Injunction, you may be injuncted from doing one or two things because you have the obligation. We also have what they call quantum merit. If Mr. A, who has performed his own obligation, has performed to the level of, let's say, 80%, then the other person has not performed, then they may ask you to pay based on the level. That is quantum merit. Quantum merit, as in the quantity the other person has performed, you have to pay the person. It's a rescission. They can cancel it, they can rectify it. So these are the remedies for breach of contract. And I think at this junction, we have to thank you all for having listened to the lecture. And I will want to accept any question, or if there's any clarifications, reactions from the class, then you are very, very free to put across. Thank you very much for giving me the listening ears. So any question from the class? Amina Sani. Amina Sani, do you have any question?
Okay. So, ṣé ta ló wá bú fún ọ ṣé ìgbà tí wọ́n tó dárí? Òkè ọwọ́ tó dárí pé ètò fáwọn ni.
Stella Mohammed.
Yes, please. Good afternoon.
Okay. Good afternoon.
I can hear you.
Yes, I'm
Hello?
asking if there is any question from I've thought. You don't have
no,
question?
no. I'm good. I'm good. No.
Okay, yes, the question.
I went out a little, you zoomed out a little bit. But so far you've been very.
So far what?
I said so far you've been very, very explicit.
Okay, thank you for that.
So I mean, so it's explicit. So no questions.
Her Majesty. Her Majesty. She did Her Majesty. Abu Omede. But you have any question? I'm asking if you have any questions. Do you have any clarification with respect to what we've taught? Okay, you can.
I was still getting back to my registration. PNC. Some of the names. I'm the beginner, so I want to go for.
Okay. Maybe it's a network that is obstructing me from seeing some. You ask your question. Your question is, as we have different businesses, which one do you enter? Okay, poultry. Okay. Now, if I may be allowed to advise you, I will say, first of all, PLC is not for you. PLC means public liability company. What is for you is either business name or company limited by shares. But what I do advise people is to go for a company limited by shares. Do you understand? Even if you don't, the company has to do with the shares in question is the determining factor as to the amount that you will use in the registration. For instance, if you want to register a limited liability company with a capital base of, let's say, 1 million share capital, do you understand? Then they will charge you within the rate of, let's say, 70 to 100 for 1 million share capital. But if it is a venture within the range of 30,000, some 40, 35, within that range, depending on the person that is handling it for you, and also depending on the time frame. Do you understand? But I do advise people to go for limited. You might not register 1 million share capital. You can register half of it, 500 share capital. You understand? 500,000 share capital. A limited company. Then the money will come down. With 50,000 naira, one can get all those ones done. Do you understand? Instead of going for that 1 million that can take you to up to around that kind 70, 80, 90, 100 as the case may be. Do you understand? All you need to do once you get it registered, that 500 share capital, or even less, then tomorrow you can still upgrade. You can still increase the share capital from that 100,000 or 200,000 or 500,000 to 1 million, to even 2 million. But the most important thing is that name, registered name, has been incorporated and we are doing business with that particular name. That's what I normally advise people. Than to go for business name, because if you go for business name, if you want to change from business to limited, you understand, it becomes another procedure. But if you just go straight to limited, reduce the share capital, the money will be a little bit, the difference in the financial difference will not be much between that one and the business name. Then tomorrow, you can as well increase the share capital of that limited from, let's say, 100,000 share capital to 2 million or even 5 million. And the first step you should take is just as you engage a lawyer, then they will conduct what they call the search. By now you must have figured out the name you intend to. Give it to the person. They will take it to CAC, file the report. Then all you need to do is to conduct search with a view to ascertaining whether the name is available or not. If the name is available, they will reserve the name for you. They will reserve it for you for about 60 days. Then the next thing you should do is to supply the person who is incorporating it for you all the necessary requirements. Then they will get it registered for you. So that is it. You have a question?
Yes. We are going to accept it is expected pay back about you said, is it an act of God or us? I don't know what to like. I want to go into family.
Yes.
If there is such thing that happens, there be consideration.
No, definitely there will be. You know, the fact is that before the loan will be given to you, there must be a terms and conditions for the loan. Nobody can give you money without terms and conditions. Do you understand? That is contract we are talking about. I've just taught you. So in that contract, that's where you will now see the terms and conditions attached to the loan given to you. Do you understand? Though we don't pray that that act of God, force majeure, will come in. We don't pray for that. You see, we don't pray for that. But even if it happens, there should be a consideration. Once you produce evidence to show this, and it is glaring, it is obvious. Look at the COVID-19, it's obvious now, and you can see a lot of governments of pedal in some certain things because it is obvious. Do you understand? As against when it is not obvious, or maybe you don't have documentary evidence to show that this thing happened. Do you understand? Once you present those documents to show they are human beings, they can now give you leverage on that. Though we don't need to pray for that. Our prayer is that once you assess your loan, you invest it, and you have return on such investment. Is that not our prayers?
Exactly.
Any other question? Okay.
Now, we that were back to the now. The enterprise and limited. Those we as a now, not very limited. But when there's one enterprise, they say they do on the deco my sign up. I use 700 naira to
Okay.
that time. But now it don't expire. No, the internet now. But still go to. They used to say that if one collect loan from 5 million or 3 million, they can give through that enterprise. But I'm in my name. I don't know whether that one is necessary for me to. Is it available to do this thing or doing it?
My brother, I have to be very frank with you. If you want to do business, if you want to apply for loan and all this, I think it's better follow the procedure of going to Corporate Affairs Commission through a lawyer so that they will get you certificates that you hold. Do you understand? Certificates that you hold, and also the object clause, you understand, will also be incorporated in that certificate. Yes, very, 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 very needful. That is the only thing I can tell you. So I wouldn't want a situation, but I don't know this one you're talking about. I wouldn't want to say, okay, take it. You can take it to maybe a bank, or they will not honor it. They will not honor it.
Please, how we are going to do it so that we can know about our own process?
How you would, I've said it earlier. What the first step you should take, first of all, know the name in question. Once you know the name you want to, then you can give it to a lawyer. You understand? They can bring the name, they'll give you a lawyer. The lawyer will now go and conduct a search for you and get it registered for you. I think that one is more authentic than all this thing they say is free, is in net, blah, blah, blah. Once you go do, when you come to a bank, they will ask you, can we see the incorporation document? And you start telling them, you do code, do the other one, they will know you are not serious. And they will tell you, please, next person. Do you understand? So the first step you should do now is to know the name. Once you know the name, you will intend to register, then you can forward it. You can forward it. If you don't have a lawyer, personally, I'm a lawyer, I can still assist you if you so wish. So that is it. Any other question? In the absence of any other question. Okay, ask now. So that because like people have other.
As it be like this, my own understanding. Mostly, as we don't prepare for certificate for loan now. What the mostly you say we are required. What the next thing to do now to help us?
Now,
If there's no anything like this, we can get certificate, they can't give us money. Government cannot give us money without identify us as the company or enterprise or what we do.
That's the essence of this lecture.
That's why I'm asking you this question now.
That's
How we are going to do so that we can get this loan? Because I'm not going to now like this because I get my work. I learn work when I did small. That work I know how much it's giving me.
Yes.
I'm losing money as I'm paying here now.
Yes.
So what thing I did inside electronics, I did into electronics, I repair electronics. I did inside electronics 2001. I married. I bought more to give somebody. He finished me. I built the house for myself as I'm 11 years. So I know how much I'm losing now. So we have to tell us how we're going to. We thank God today. Today is a Friday. Now God give us blessing as you are lawyer. Tell us how we are going to follow you in this company, in this office now, so that we can follow you and we can assist us. If money comes. Maybe as I'm talking about, I'm not getting to 100 now to give you to provide that certificate, other 50,000 now as I'm talking. But if they in agreement, you understand, we can fulfill it. And they ask question what was listening.
I can see.
Because me, I don't go far inside many things. As I'm sitting down to you,
I'd like to answer them.
So that's how answer my question. So that
well, your question is good. Just like what I told you, because there's no gain telling you use that code, that one. Do you understand? At the end of it, you go there, they will reject, they will see you as somebody who is not serious.
Yes.
Then at the end of the day, it will look as if all the exercise, the time is just like a time wasted.
Yes.
That's the reason why I used to be very, very point blank in anything. I'm dealing with some clients like you people. I have to be very, very direct. You understand? Sincere too. What I want you to do is each and every one of you bring your name, the name you want to register. When you bring the name you want to register, then the first thing is to put in search. Once the name is available, because that name you say you have now, there's every possibility that when you put it, then you start again. So I think the first step you should have to take now is availability. That is the first step. That is the first step. Then calling about like 2 names. That one you have at the back of your mind, and the other name, in case that one. So when you do that, compile the names, then you can now forward it. Like what you said, you may not have money now, or this. You know, all this one is all about payment. They will tell you to go to TSA, to pay into TSA. TSA means Treasury Single Account. That's where we pay. Do you understand? And the truth is that you won't expect somebody to pay for you. And you won't expect CAC to act on that name without seeing evidence of payment. That is the gospel truth. Do you understand? So that's the reason why I'm of the view we can do that with a cheaper, what we normally charge for that, 5,000 for availability. But because we are here, it won't reach like that. You understand? Because we are trying to see how we'll assist. As you rightly say, without that registration, without certificate, they may not grant you, you may not access loans. So we have to be very, very realistic. Do you understand? So what I'm trying to say in effect is that the name should be the first thing with just a token. Then we'll put in the availability and see if the name is available. If it is available, then that comes the next stage for the registration process. Because if you carry all of them like that, it will be too much for you. To be true, that is my humble. So what you do, get your name, submit to her. Do you understand? Your number and all to submit to her. Then we can take it from there. Yeah. Any other question?
I see another question.
I asked now, so that we can.
Don't laugh.
You know, people have another
Okay,
lecture.
I will just talk a minute now. I know we talk too much. Thank you for your advice.
Okay.
You know why I asked this question?
No.
I used to ask questions if I didn't know to.
Okay.
Oh, I will bring one issue. You will drop. I will pick on there. And then if I do something, I will have to tell my follower friend. Very important. There's one of my friends. Is our tribe. He did this place. He said he drew home. He said that since today, he never give him money.
Since you do waiting.
He said he do this process. He don't get his certificate. He don't do everything finish.
Okay.
Now he the first batch, something like that.
Okay.
But I can't tell him say that all these things that you go to follow, he say he don't have. Now I say,
Are you cousin?
now because you can't say that me. You know why I used to watch that because CNC is very important as well. I don't went to back of industry almost 3 years now. We'll go collect money. I don't feel collect because of my no get CNC certificate. The people that get the collect, they don't be born now.
It's the same thing I was telling.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
So it's very important.
I will do that.
Very, very important. You see, the reason why somebody like us, we don't normally will teach and will stop halfway. That's where you will go further. It will look as if, I know you have a lawyer, you might have somebody, I'm not saying come to me, do you understand? Anybody that thinks that can do it for you. But my work here is just to let you know the importance of that document. Anywhere you feel you can get it. If you feel you can come in to assist in that, I will. If you feel you have a friend or your brother or your sister who is a lawyer who can help you to do that, good and fine. But the most important thing, the information, the message I want to pass here is the importance of that particular document. Without that document, it will frustrate you. That is the message. Yes, it's okay. By His grace, people will get there. Get your company registered so that you do more businesses. In Jesus' name. Yeah. Thank you. I think at this point we have to call it a day. We have to call it a day because we've done the needful. All the necessary we need to do, we've done that. We've taken questions. We've also answered those questions. And having done that, I have to thank each and every one of us for the patience. And also wish you good luck in your endeavor. Thank you very much. Once again, my name is Anthony Obedeze. Nice meeting you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon, once again, distinguished participants. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the final segment of our training. Let me first of all start by congratulating you for the journey that commenced on Monday. Whatever has a beginning must always have to have an end. We are ending it all now. This one is practically more like a question and answer session. And I'll be ready to take all questions, all comments, all observations, anything at all on the program. The program this evening is titled "The Practical Session on Completion of Loan Application Form." Incidentally, I think almost all of you have already completed the loan application form. But because of a change in the workflow by NYSA Microfinance Bank, I'm also going to talk to you about new requirements which were not on our form initially. My colleague had attempted to send a mail or to the platform yesterday, requiring each and every one of you to furnish us with some of the information that were not on the old platform that we're using, or on the old platform that we're using. So they were not captured in our form, but we'll navigate through all that now. So practical session on completion of loan application are going to be very brisk because there's nothing much actually at stake here. So our objectives this evening or this afternoon, is to highlight the importance of the ASMIS loan application form, understand the importance of each section of the form, explain the expected response from each section, and preparation for interview. Incidentally, there will be no more physical interview. Ordinarily, how it worked before was you complete your training, then your business plan is uploaded, and myself sent you a message to invite you for an interview. Right now, in the new workflow that they have developed, at the end of this training, within the next 1 week or so, we'll upload your business plans. Then there's an assessment test that you take. I advise that you close the office so that the assessment form will from the interview, you have made the cut to be giving a loan or not. So it is important that we work with our people to ensure that the appropriate things are done. Now, the whole essence of this training is how to assess the facility, the ASMIS loan facility. This is the process flow. Gate train, which is what we are doing right now. Since Monday, they've been training you. Apply for the loan through your EDI, which is AMES Associate. Then complete the application form. We have all, I think, all of you have completed the application form, and then we'll create your profile on that. Like I was trying to explain, there are little changes. Subsequently, we are also going to go there. NYSA is trying that workflow. Some of the aspects of it have not been actually uploaded. Some are not running properly yet, but I'm sure in the next 1 2 weeks, everything will take shape. This questionnaire, like I said, all of you have already completed the forms. This one was targeted at people who never had the opportunity of filling the form, or who, because many of these things are done online. Since COVID, this program has been thriving on an online basis. So it's not expected that many of you visited the offices of any EDI. So this particular training or particular aspect was meant to be to guide you. As many were not interacting with our people, but we are interacting with our officers. So most of these things are simpler than expected. I was trying to show the form which I said you have all completed. Everybody has completed the form. So nothing much new. The only aspect that are on the form, that are not on the form that you have completed, which we expect you to send to us, is which is now a requirement in their new workflow. One of them is local government of origin. I think the reason for this is very simple. Of late, as at December or as at last year when we were still disbursing, the last disbursements were done in December. They are still trying to get the inflows from the banks. The banks all declare profit April, May. So we are expecting that they will now start crediting the ACMIS fund, and then new disbursements, like I understand, will start in June. And sometimes what they do is that they look at the geopolitical map of Nigeria, geographical map. I know we have 6 zones basically: northwest, north central, northeast, then southwest, southeast, and south. What they do is that they try to make sure these loans go around. Last year, there were times they will say in the whole application sent to Central Bank will back out northwest, they will back out southwest, they will back out part of north central. They say that those people have taken enough. So at the time they were giving to northeast principally and southeast, and to some extent south side. They said they've not been taking it. So that's why they need your local government of origin. Some people have qualified everything meet up, but you are from the let me put in quote wrong geographical zone for that particular moment. We are not sure that it will continue in that manner. So they want to know where you are from also. And of course, inside your already filled form, you have local government of residence, which if you are in Abuja, you have already filled it. Local government of origin and local government of residence, they are very, very paramount for people who are in Abuja. It's very, very paramount because most of you are not from Abuja. Most people in Abuja are not from FCT. So you have your own local government of origin. So they want to be sure of your local government of origin. Like I say, it will influence their geopolitical spreading of the laws. Then CAC number, RC number, we didn't include it. RC number for every, the lawyer just spoke to you about registration of business name. If you have business name, we have BN number. We call it BN number. If you have a limited liability, they call it RC number. So, but we call it CAC number. They want you also, it is not in the formal form that you fill. They want you to give us the CAC number of your company. Probably they want to do a search to be sure that your company is existing. So make sure that you actually register a company. We are using a company, ensure that it's actually registered. Then the business name, we didn't also ask for the name of the company. I think this ones go together. The business name and then the CAC number. Okay, it's in the form. Okay. Then if you attempt to enter the system on your own, because you could actually complete everything on your own with this Sunday, you are not for you to even do data. After the business plan, you can complete the rest of the form. They will want you to do what they call BVN validation. And so we also requested our participants to furnish us with the way the BVN, you know, the banks, sometimes you have 3 names. The bank will choose only 2 on their own. Maybe your name is Aisha Memuna Sani. Now, Sani is supposed to be your surname. Memuna may be your middle name, Aisha your first name. Do you know that in the bank, they can capture your BVN as Aisha Memuna? They might not even take the Sani at all. They can now say Memuna Sani instead of Aisha, which we consider that BVN verification. We want you to tell us how your BVN, the way your name is registered in the bank. So that is what we call BVN validation. And then current business location and address. Some of you, you have your businesses in FCT. Maybe if you have a farm in Kuje, for instance, so your business location will be Kuje. And then, of course, Kuje might not have a a specific number, so, or you can describe where it is. Maybe it can be along Obasanjo Farm Road or whatever in Kuje. If it's in Buhari, along the road going to something like that. So they want your current business name and location. So it is very important that you do it. For the aspect of the business plan, I think most of you have paid for the business plan. It's going to be run by our people. Right now, we are having some teaching problems with the system, with the new application, but I'm sure in a week, everything should be okay. Then we need to talk about businesses that are acceptable. We actually spoke about it briefly on Monday, the opening day. And like I was saying before, attention is a fantastic place. Catering and event management, courier and delivery services, creative industry. In fact, apart from the AXMIS, there is a specific fund for the creative industry segment of the country. A special fund, about 75 billion for creative industry, for people to apply to central bank separate. That is different from the AXMIS, so you can apply for that one separately. Apparels and textile, ICT, cottage industry, media, publishing, telecom. In fact, what I want to say that if you are not sure of what you are, if you are a business, whether it qualifies or not, you can always, you can even post something to our website. Maybe I'm into this. Somebody the other time was asking us that schools is running a nursery, primary, and all those schools, are they qualified? And we guide. So if you are not sure of anything that you are having in your mind, just let us know, because almost everything can qualify for the loan. The first thing that if you don't have a business yet, you identify your interest. But we expect that most of you, even since Monday that you have started training, you should be you should already have had a business idea or whatever. Then find out if the business is accepted. That's what I'm saying. If it is, you can find out from us. You can find out on our platform, on the WhatsApp platform we created. Put something there, you see a lot of comments from our people, even from your other co-participants. Okay. And then, okay, this is just like we are saying that those who have already subscribed to us for the consultancy service, that's for the area of preparing business plans. We are already sure that we are going to get it out for you. For those who can do it on their own, there are simple steps on their platform, on the portal, that you can actually take to conclude it yourself. But most people are safer with us, so we want to thank you and we ensure that everything goes very well. Breaking down the loan application form, there's a segment for personal details. Another segment for business is actually divided into four. For the loan application, it's divided into four areas. Personal details, which will list you, give you the what and what that's about you yourself. I've already also told you that the loan is being given to you in your personal name, and your BVN is a guarantee, the collateral. In addition, we are going to buy equipment for your business. Those equipments we purchased for you by the vendors of NISA Microfinance Bank. But not to worry, you can always work with the vendors, because we won't want them to go and buy anything, just anything for you. So we work with them. If you work with the vendors, they will, you can even ask them to go and buy from your own vendor, or you can structure a deal with them to access the money and then you go and buy. The most important thing is that you have to buy the, so the loans are given in your personal name, But it's important that you have a business. It's important that anybody who is applying for a loan, 5 million, 10 million, should be able to run a business. That's why the business is important. And then the other aspect, loan utilization details. What are the things we want to buy? What equipment do you want to buy? What working capital do you need? And then the training details is all about our own company that has trained you. So those are the 4 segments. The other information we have put at the back page are just to guide us. And some, like I was saying, some requirements that are needed are what we have put at the back page to make sure you can get the loan something out. Again, we also want you to give us, I know that you have space where you put your identification number. We want you to also give us a photocopy of that, your identification. It's important because sometimes you missed out the number, and then we can look at the physical one that you have given to us, the photocopy, and correct it properly. That's the form, which I explained already, the personal details form, which is the upper part, the business detail form, the loan utilization, showing the equipment and the working capital requirements, and then the training details. Okay. Okay. We have explained all this. Then let's go to somewhere that could be interesting. Type of business activity. Type of business activity is the exact thing you are doing. We have type of business activity and you have sector. For instance, a sector could be agriculture, and then the business activity there could be poultry, could be fishery, could be crop, it could be goat farming, could be piggery, any of those things. So the business activity is the exact thing you are doing, while the sector is a broad classification of that business activity. There's another thing on the form they have where they say startup, and they say yes or no. If it is a startup, there's expectation is that NISA will not give you more than like 5 million. Because a startup means we are just starting. Most of the loan requests that are being granted are for expansion. I have a business already running, so I want to upgrade it. I want to expand it. I want more working capital. That's the kind that is very, very important. So when they put it there, is your business a startup? If you say it's a startup, maybe that means like 2-3 years maximum of operation. It will give you a lower amount. But if it's a business that has already been established and moving and running, it can give you up to 10 million naira. They can give you 10 million naira and give you 7 years tenure. And they can even give you up to 1 or 2 years as a moratorium before you start paying the loan. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. It does this. Okay. But these forms you have almost all completed it and under the guidance of our staff. So shouldn't have problem. So I'm also sending this to you people to look at it on your own. Now, like I said, the loan tenure, the maximum is 7 years. And business that you are supposed to run should consist of working capital and, of course, the major one, equipment. The formula is that they use 70% maximum for equipment and then 30% for working capital. You buy some, want to start a dry cleaning shop, the machines that you are buying, if you apply for 10 million, the machine should be maximum of 7 million. While for you to be able to run the business, pay salaries, collect materials and all that, which we call working capital, that one will be a maximum of 30%. There's a place called source of repayment on the form. Source of repayment You can't borrow, or you can't, every business that you are doing, the source of repayment should be profit from that business. Profit from the business, not from any other source. We only know the viability of a business if it is able to pay back. That is a truism. It's something that is universal. Business profit is a source of repayment for every business that you are doing, not even because of this loan alone. It should be business profit. That is profit from the business itself. Source of repayment, you can't say maybe I will take money from my relations or from my wife or my husband to repay. If the business cannot pay itself, then the business is not worth it. So source of repayment, business profit is the information that you need. Training institution, AMES associates, training ID number, you might not have it, but we can fix it. Even assuming you enter the system, you can even see it yourself. Type of training, entrepreneurship training, and then duration is 5 days. We started on Monday, we are ending today. After completing the application, the last section is your declaration, which you are going to sign and make sure that all the information provided by you is true to the best of your knowledge. As if any of this information is found to be incorrect, you can be disqualified from further processing of the loan. Like I said, this time is actually for question and answer. So at this moment, I want to take questions from you concerning all you have been hearing from Monday to this moment. If there's any thing that you need clarification on, somebody might want to ask, are they actually giving the loans? Are they actually doing this and all that? I can assure you that as I was at the bank today, and they told me that since December that they have not been disbursing, they have a lot of requests with them. And they are not what they are getting funding in billions from the banks any moment from now, and they start disbursing it. So they're actually giving the loans, and I'm sure you yourself should be able to know somebody, one or two people that have accessed this loan. Let's not mistaking this facility for the COVID-19 loan that they are giving, that almost everybody is receiving. 500,000 for household, 2.5 million max for SMEs and all that. This is a different one. This is on this a physical loan called the agribusiness small medium enterprise investment scheme. There are so many interventions in central bank. So questions, comments on what you have been listening to from Monday. At the end of this particular, then your certificates will all be sent to your numbers. Then the next process will be to do your business plans. And then now after that, complete the assignment form, take it from there. And I also encourage you people to go to the system yourself and type out your mail and then verify your BVN and enter the system to more comfort. Questions at this moment, comments, contributions.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello, can I say something? Good afternoon.
Yes, go ahead. Thank you. Yeah, go
okay,
ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Stella Mohammed.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for everything.
Yes.
It's been a very, in as much as sometimes in between, I had to now go do one thing and still come back.
Yeah, about that.
Okay, but it's okay. It's been fantastic. You know, all and everybody has been very, very explicit.
Thank you very much.
You know, so kudos to you guys. Well done. And I pray, like you said, that this intervention will really get to people like us by God's grace.
Thank you.
Because people believe that Nigeria, now who you know what I mean. Anyway, there's something you said I didn't. You said that there will be a test.
Okay.
Before, I didn't get that part.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor. Thanks for.
Yes, please.
Okay. I was saying the way until now, until the beginning of May this year, how the process was running is you get trained like we have been doing since Monday. We upload your business plan for you, or you yourself do your business plan. Then the it will be for the bank, the National Microfinance Bank, to invite you for an interview. Yes, they will interview you. They will ask you some basic questions about your business. They will ask about the viability of your business. For instance, they will tell you what's your profit to date, or maybe monthly profit, or yearly profit, and they get all those information because they want to know that you'll be able to pay back. The interview basically is focusing on the viability of your business. But now they've designed a workflow that you don't really need to be interviewed, because the interview will be online now and done by EDI, which is we now. There's a workflow on their portal. All you need to answer all the questions. By the time you answer all the questions, the same thing that they would have asked you physically.
Oh, okay.
Your profit. How much is
you not answered it. Okay.
Well, by the time you fill it, that's what they call assessment test.
And I'm sure you do that with proof. I mean, at one point, if it's an existing business, they might not ask for your statement of accounts.
No, we'll not even. They won't go that far of asking for a statement of account of this. It's expected that you have information on your business. You are the one that is assessing yourself. So they won't need to go that far to ask for your bank statement to see your banking or what. For instance, Madam, if I'm, what business are you into, ma? Huh? Okay, I understand you.
I'm a doctor.
So printing.
Right? Yes, I'm the doctor. Yes, but the doctor is medical, but that's a different. Yes. Okay. I'm into printing.
Facility now. Which one?
It's for the printing aspect.
Printing aspect. Thank you very much.
It's an existing business already. That's even where I am now.
Fantastic. So they want to know on the assessment form, for instance, they want to know how much are you earning. I mean, monthly. What are your total revenue in a month? Total expenses in a month. But, so they want to determine what is left. If it continues like that, what is left?
I know. Whether you can be able to repay back the loan.
Yes, that is the whole essence. Whether you'll be able to repay back. You understand?
That's not an issue at all. Okay.
We'll work with you, and I'm sure by next week or so. Incidentally, the people that the portal is not too active yet, but they told us that the portal will be active by next week. So we'll work with you to get all those information and to be on your side to make sure that whatever we are putting in is something that will come up with positively, positive what we accountants will call NEP, positive result. That is the thing. So that they don't need to call you again. When you do that, it will just show on the system, and they will say, okay, this business is viable. This business can pay back the loan. Sometimes they will say this business can pay back the loan 5 months in 5 years rather than 7 years. No, this business can pay back in 4 years instead of 7 years. So they can
I know. They can shorten your payment.
They can shorten your yes. It must be 7 years. When they look at your business, they will say, "Oh no, you can pay back in 4 years now. Why do you want to hold our money for 7 years?" Those are the kind of things that, yes.
Okay.
We are
Let me.
We are flowing
okay.
together.
Thank you. Yes. So aside from, let me ask
Yes.
another question. It might be, maybe it's supposed to be a side question. I will have called you personally, but let me ask it. Aside from this intervention myself, are you privy to any other intervention?
Okay, this particular training is for the AXMIS intervention. Earlier on, when the COVID-19 loans were out, we also advise our people to also apply, because you can apply both for the COVID-19 and this particular one. But on the general note, we provide services for, that is for other things now, other interventions. Want to access bank loans from a development bank, from Bank of Industry, we do all that as part of our array of services. So probably we can speak on personal note to know what other things that we do. I can forward some of our portfolio of offerings to you.
Okay, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So, I appreciate that, because maybe I will call you. I'll call you personally and ask, and so that I can discuss some other things with you, please, if you don't mind.
Yes, no, I wouldn't mind at all. We are a family now. Our intention is to make this platform that we created as active as possible until all tradies have been able to obtain their loans. We will guide you to the last. And then, of course, there are other businesses that we can do together. Yes. Thank you very much. We have any other somebody else that wants to ask questions, or mute yourself and go ahead. Including my colleagues that are my people that are seated here. If you have anything to ask us, let's go ahead. So statistics, let me give you some information. Till date, the bank has disbursed quite a lot of money under this AXMIS program. On a yearly basis, they get like 80 billion from the banks. 80 billion. And since the commencement of this project, which has been very active since 2019, they have disbursed over 212 billion to clients. As I was made to understand today, a lot of applications are with them, and they have pushed them to central bank, over 100 billion. That's not to discourage you. They are also expecting almost 100 billion again from the banks this year. So, and of course, they will do it in such a way that they will want to know the businesses that can pay back their loan. Sometimes they also take some measures. Almost everybody applies for 10 million. They can decide to make sure it goes round more. They can now peg some. Listen, I've seen people who have been given 5 million, 4 million, 8 million, 7 million, just to make sure it goes round. So the thing is actually working, and I want you to be positive about it. We'll actually guide you to the very final end to make sure things keep that. If you post anything, even if it's 1 a.m. on that platform, give my people 2 hours max, they will respond. And I want to assure you that we'll be by your side. We'll be working with you until our objective is assured. Government is really interested in diversifying from the oil economy, and that is why all these interventions are coming up. There are so many sectors. The health sector, doctor, for instance, as a medical practitioner. They have a specific intervention for the health sector. They have for the creative industry. They have for all this Nollywood, and I think, is that the creative? No, they have for almost every sector has its own. Aviation has its own. Aviation, of course, is a major, it's a top-end business. So all of you, most of us are not involved. Almost every sector, the government wants to inject activities into them. That is a way of making sure that we don't just rely on oil. For people who are doing exports, there are a lot of concessions in the export business. Maybe your farming activity, you should be thinking of how to get to export one or two things eventually. If you are drying fish, for instance, you can export them. Your poultry, in fact, the problem is that the consumption is so much in Nigeria. We are not even meeting the national demand. So the consumption, before you can export. But give it or take, government is doing its best, doing as much as possible to make sure Nigeria is activated. And that is the way it is now. That's one thing we have to give to the current administration. Since they launched the Anchor Borrowers Program in 2015, they have not been the banned rice importation. Nobody expected that Nigeria could produce rice to feed itself. But they did it, and the country is moving on. And most of you, all of us are buying rice from the market, local rice from the market, for instance. So that's the kind of thing they want in all sectors. On this note, if there are no other questions, we'll be interacting and relating more on the platform. Please feel free to talk to us at any point, at any time. And we'll be so much ready to work with you to achieve the objective for which you have paid money to be trained. We have other things like the doctor was just mentioning just now. We have other things, other form of facilities that are available in the system that are not ACMIS related that we can also work with you on. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Just turn the evening now. Thank you. Since there are no further questions, I want to thank you all. Your certificates are being sent to you almost immediately. And please conclude our quiz, the final quiz. We told you pass mark to get certificate is 50%. Conclude your final quiz, which is being sent to you also now. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.